we only have a 5-minute break scheduled.
I know, exactly. That's our nap break. I was thinking of having numerous nap breaks. Hi, Emery.
Okay, you're out on YouTube. Let me hit record. Okay, it's all yours, Maren.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you have sleeping bags, pillows, coffee. This could be a long one. Hopefully we will manage it judiciously and effectively, that it is not.
They don't go together.
First and foremost, pledge to the flag, which I always have to say, right way or wrong way?
That's the right way.
Right.
It's very
Right,
tough.
right.
You're looking at it backwards. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
America.
and to the
to the
republic for which
For
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one nation, indivisible, with
Understand.
liberty and
and
justice
justice for
for
all.
all. Woo!
Justice for
Roll call, please, Brianna.
Chair Lindstrom,
Here.
Mr. Williams,
Here,
Mr. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Buckbinder's not here, Mr. Starofsky,
Here.
Mr. Pinsky,
Here.
Ms. Maloney.
Okay, next is for adoption of the December 28th workshop meeting. I will not be available. In theory, I will be getting my biceps reattached to my shoulder. So, and it is also the middle of holiday season. So I am going to make a motion that we do not do a workshop meeting for the 28th. I think we don't have anything that really needs a workshop meeting at this juncture.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain. Okay, we also need to adopt the schedule for the 2021 meetings. You received a copy of that. And the only one date that Mary Lou caught that was going to be in the same day is October. For Columbus Day, we have to pivot off of our normal Monday. We're going to do it the 7th, but that's the same as the town board. So that'll be the 14th. Other than that, it is all the second Mondays of every month. We have a motion. So can I have a motion to adopt the schedule?
Motion to adopt the schedule.
Yay! I'll take a second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against?
Aye.
Abstain. Okay, and in reading, okay, next is trainings. We have been trained up the wazoo. There have been so many gazillions of trainings. Everybody is, Brianna, everybody's got their numbers, correct?
That's correct.
So we're good on that. There's a couple, I think I've done the subdivision training 7 times, been done by every possible entity within the state that can do it. Also, action on the minutes. I read through, made some minor grammatical and additions on October 8th and November 9th. I did not look at the December 1st meeting. Patrick, I did see on the October 8th meeting that we tasked you with taking notes to make sure if Brianna and I, this is what happens when I read through the minutes. So get your pencil out, because sometimes it takes you some time to get the minutes out to make sure we have everything for the applicants that we can tell them their to-do list. So I am going to say that we table the December 1st workshop minutes, but make a motion to approve the October 8th and November 9th regular planning board minutes.
I'll second that.
Second.
Begrudgingly, Patrick seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain. Okay, in the first application, with great joy, I can recuse myself. This is Planning Board 2020-11 for a lot line improvement by Maren Lindstrom and Dennis Lavallee. It is combining 2 non-conforming lots in an R5 district that are under R5 with a conforming 20+ acre lot by deleting 2 lot lines. So if Terry Ringler, there he is, he'll start talking now and I'll be quiet. Terry.
Hello?
There we
Terry.
go. I've got him unmuted.
Do we
Thank
need to
you.
have a chair first, Maureen? Is Patrick the chair now?
Patrick, we will assign you as interim chair since I have recused myself.
Yep. I anticipated that.
Please do lead us
Right.
forward with Terry's help.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so as already discussed and read, we have a 20+ acre conforming lot with 2 adjacent lots non-conforming, roughly 2.3 acres and 2.8 acres that will then be combined to the conforming 20.05 acres to create a new lot of 25.206 acres.
Hey, look, I know the book isn't off to a great start, and I lost my job, but great news. We're gonna have
Technical difficulties.
We need somebody muted.
Somebody needs to mute, not unmute.
Yeah.
Terry's
Yeah.
unmuted.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Terry.
Okay. Did you miss my beautiful introduction there?
We heard it.
Part of it.
Okay. So it's really just a simple lot line adjustment. We're deleting 2 tax lots, creating from 3 to 1, adding the 2.8 and the 2.3 acres to the 20.05 to create a 25.206 acre lot.
Sounds like a plan to me.
of eliminating 2 lot lines, making the lot bigger. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the lot line adjustment.
I'll second it.
You have to call the vote, Patrick.
Patrick, I can't talk. All in favor?
All in favor of the lot line adjustment?
There you go for everybody. It's up on the screen.
I am in favor.
Aye. Well, that's not a roll
Aye.
call vote.
Yeah, Brianna, you probably want to do a roll call vote on these.
Oh, really? Okay.
Where's
Patrick,
Diana?
nothing has to be, they don't have to be roll call votes when they're not seeker, but just because we're not all sitting in the same room, it's sometimes easier for the minutes if it's done as a roll call.
We've been doing that, that's true. So this would be a roll call vote for the lot line adjustment for Maren Lindstrom to delete the 2 lot lines and combine the properties into 1. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's have Brianna do a roll
There
call.
she is.
Chair Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
and Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
All set.
Thank you.
All right,
Just
I
for
am.
the
Great job,
record-
Patrick.
I'm sorry, Brianna, just for the record, can you make sure that it goes in there that this is a type 2? So we did not have to do any seeker review. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, I am unrecusing myself, derecusing myself And now we have a Planning Board 2020-10, which is also a lot line improvement / natural subdivision. It's for Christy Wilson. And the property is located on Sampsonville Road, 790 Sampsonville Road. This is also type 2 by code, and Mike can share, or everybody share for the public, and everybody can look at the
There you go.
perfect. And Ms. Wilson or representative, are you on board
I'm
with
here.
this? Perfect. Do you want to, it's quite obvious and simple, but do you want to just run through what's going on here?
Yes, the total parcel size was 6.4 acres, and the lot is separated by Sampsonville Road with 3.442 acres that contains a house, well, septic, and it is a residence. The land southerly of Sampsonville Road is a vacant lot of 2.990 plus or minus acres. And, you know, being in the natural subdivision, they would like to separate this and have that parcel that can either be sold or another residence needs to be built on it, they would.
So it's pretty self-explanatory, guys. It's quite, after you go around the corner, the land gets a little randy, but it's quite flat, easy land. They should sell it to the guys that are surrounding them. But it is a quite self-explanatory natural subdivision. Any questions?
It's R2, right? I mean, it's 2 acre zoning in there, I believe.
Yes, it's
Yes.
R2, 2 acre zoning.
All right, if there are no more comments, then I will make a motion to certify the natural subdivision lot line improvement for Ms. Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Oh,
Aye.
We have
yeah,
we
you're
have to
very
do
loose,
roll
right?
call.
Let's do roll call so we get it all down.
That's just when you're the chair, Patrick.
Brianna,
Nice.
run for the roll call.
Chair Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
and Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
Poor Zorian with his bad connection. It's always like he's coming from Pluto when he talks. All right, next on the docket is Planning Board 2020-06 for a subdivision. This is for a public hearing and continued application. It is for Olga Byrne, who is the owner and applicant. It is a minor subdivision. If you remember, this was a 5-lot subdivision that got retailored into a 3-lot subdivision. And it's at 2002 Queens Highway. We had some issues with it to begin with. One was, if to refresh everybody, currently the driveway that was on here was used by the neighbor, and so this would have had to have been a major subdivision, because the 3 lots that Ms. Byrne would like to create would have been a 4 people accessing the driveway. But they wrote us a letter, it's in the file, saying that they will build their own driveway. So then it will just be 3 lots. On it, we have received, I have comments. We have before we get to the public hearing part of this, which is largely the goal of today, we did receive comments from our ECC, the DEC, and the fire department. So there's still a bit of work we're going to need to do on the plan. I will read the easiest first. So from our fire department, after evaluation, it was determined that due to the lack of water resources in the area of the 3-lot subdivision, The department must rely heavily on water tanker shuttles to bring water to these locations in the event of an emergency. With this in mind, it would be in the best interest of the owner to place an apparatus pull-off spot at the midpoint of the driveway and a large enough spot at the end of the driveway for the placement of fire apparatus, as well as enough room for the apparatus to turn around. This will ensure that a large fire apparatus has ample room to pass each other and assist with making the mission of protecting lives, stabilizing incident, and protecting property much more effective.
Maren,
So-
can I interrupt you for a minute? What is the file for the map? I don't see it in the,
It
in
is
the
in the
Google Drive.
Burn, it's there. It's in the Burn subdivision. If you go down to the last row, for me, it's the last row, second one in, with a nice fire seal on it.
He's looking for
Isn't
the
it
map.
W,
I'm looking for the
W
map.
buffer? W buffer, E20067.
I'm sorry, say it again?
It's called WL-buffer.pdf.
At the end.
Okay.
I don't know what
Oh,
you
there
guys
it is. Okay, I see it.
found it.
Yep, thank you.
It apparently comes up very different than what I'm seeing.
Let me screen share for you. Okay, there you go.
All right, right, there is your.
Yep.
So in screen sharing, can we see my cursor or no?
I
No,
see
I'm
a
screen
cursor.
sharing from, well, I don't know, Maren.
All right, well, so what the,
Maren, the way to do it is if you go to options at the top
Options,
of your
yeah.
Zoom, then there's, I think there should be, oh, I don't have it. There
I know.
there should be
There
a
used to be
more.
used to be a thing that you could do exactly.
I think we don't have the permissions set somehow.
It used to be able to pull up a bad pen that I made a mess of.
Yeah. Mike, there might be something in your permissions to let us do the annotate.
Okay,
I see a moving mouse.
that's my
I-
mouse.
Yeah.
So Maren, if you want to direct me, I can move my mouse. It might be easier than trying to take the
All
time
right,
to find
exactly,
the
since we don't want to
permissions.
be here till God knows
Yeah.
when. Basically what the fire department has said that they would like pull-offs. So they would like something at the midpoint of the driveway, so exactly somewhere vaguely around.
Right in about
between-
here where my mouse
Or
is?
maybe, yeah, between the two proposed houses, or
Yep.
yeah, right around there, right, Mike? And then something at the end to make sure that if they can't turn around in the person's driveway, they have enough room. So basically widening that drive curve spot, so to speak, so a tanker truck could turn around there because they won't be able to get water in.
So
So
the
that-
right of way is 50 feet. So I'm looking at it, and the
Right.
drive would have to be expanded at those two locations.
Yes, that you can, the drive can go from 50 feet and then shrink down thinner afterward once it becomes the shared driveway. But you would have to add in some pull-off space. So there's a space that if fire trucks are going in and out, one could pull over, basically the big tanker full of water could pull over and pump water on the house while other first responders were going in and out. Somewhere along the midline, then somewhere toward the end. So that's sort of a Barry/Heather, add something there to the plan.
So that would almost be at the end of the at the beginning of the 9.9 acre lot, at that corner.
And then also at the beginning of the 4.9 about, or somewhere around close to that.
Okay,
He wants one at the midpoint and one at the end.
yeah.
Does that zooming help you, Maren?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
So that was the first thing for an addition for Heather and Barry to add on. The next commentary we'll have more challenges for was the DEC response. And I guess, Mike, I will read it, and then everybody, it's probably easier if you just keep the site plan / subdivision plan up there,
Okay.
because people can sort of figure it. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation reviewed the inquiry. Project involves a 3-lot subdivision of the above referenced property. One will contain existing residence. Remaining 2 lots are to be developed. A protection of waters permit is required to physically disturb the better banks up to 50 feet from the stream of any stream identified as protected, which this is. A time restriction may be required for the protection of cold water trout fisheries, waters classified under Article 15 of the ECL with a T or a TS, beginning between October 1st and April 30th. DEC reviewed the state's natural heritage records. No records of sensitive resources were identified by the review. The absence of data does not necessarily mean that rare or state listed species, natural communities, or other significant habits do not exist or adjacent to the proposed site. Rather, our files currently do not contain information which indicates the presence. For most sites, comprehensive field surveys have not been conducted. We cannot provide a definitive statement on the presence or absence of all rare or state listed species or significant natural communities, depending on the nature of the project and the conditions at the project site. Further information from on-site surveys or other sources may be required to fully assess the impact on biological resources. Speedies, if the overall project will disturb 1 or more acres of land, the project sponsor must obtain coverage under the current speedies. Barry / Heather, is this over? I do not remember.
It's about an acre, so we will file.
Right, so you're gonna have to file speedies. That's what I thought it was about. And that's the basic gist of now. Barry and Heather did have a environmental threatened and endangered species habitat suitability assessment report done that went through, and you can see that they did identify. I mean, the lots are quite tortured. I mean, in the best case world, you wouldn't do anything in lot 2 and lot 3, but they do have the result to do it. But there's a lot going on here. So you can see that you have the blue line. That is your 100-foot setback that we require from the stream. So that's covered to where the proposed structures are. And then the green, the sort of evergreen green color that is more lumpy, that is your setback that we need to the wetlands, which are also covered. So the structures are back from barely, they can squish it in from the required wetlands and required stream setbacks.
Yeah, if I could just point out the 100-foot setback is from the stream. And as you can see, we don't have any disturbance anywhere near that. So we don't need a stream disturbance permit from DEC. The wetlands is a federal wetland and actually doesn't have a 100-foot required setback. We just threw that in there to show that we're staying at least 100 feet away.
No, you're correct on that. The town subdivision design criteria does, while not being at this juncture a strict setback, we do encourage 100 feet setback, as you have demonstrated, Barry, from a wetland. So yes, while the Army Corps of Engineers does not require it, DEC does require it for the steam, and we do encourage it heavily for the wetlands. So we do squish everything in. We also had a commentary, if I can pull it up in a proper timely fashion. We had commentary from our environmental Conservation Commission, which just under the wire, I will read. The members of the Town of Rochester Environmental Conservation Commission submitted the following statement regarding Planning Board 2020-06 SBD amended application. The proposed subdivision application for Burn and Bochat appear to comply with required setbacks to preserve the areas around the state regulated stream and unregulated wetlands, as you just said, Barry. That said, the wetland is eligible for regulation, and the DEC representatives have stated that it should be treated as though it is regulated, with a 100-foot setback to minimize disturbance. Lot 2's development risks impacting both the stream and wetland give the site locations for the well and septic and any clearing requirements for construction. And if the wetlands were treated as though it had a 100-foot setback in place, the proposed dwelling on Lot 2 would potentially be in violation of that setback, as well as the septic area for Lot 3. We are also concerned by the lack of mention of the wetland habitat on the short environmental assessment form. Unregulated does not mean non-existent, hence the identification of said wetlands in the threatened and endangered species habitat assessment. In addition to the presence and potential impact to eligible wetlands and a named stream, it must be acknowledged that this subdivision impacts habitat within the range of known instances of a state and federal endangered species, and despite very minimal tree removal proposed, there is no guarantee that this subdivision would not also impact the Indiana bat habitat. Sincerely, the members, bless you, of the Town of Rochester Environmental Conservation Commission. So those were our late-breaking additions. It does sort of re-emphasize that this is a, once again, as I say, while allowable, pretty tortured piece of land to be developing. I had one other question for you guys, for Heather and Barry. The sort of where the houses are going, could you talk more about how steep it is, and do you need to, is there anything that is going to be needed for protection during construction, running off into all of said wetlands and stream? Because sort of a steep ravine where the new houses are supposed to go.
Yeah, it's around 10 to 15%, which is a slope that actually works out really well if you have a walkout basement, from the front of the house to the back, where the basement is at ground level and then the front of the house is at first floor level. It's that's almost the natural slope that's there. So I would think anybody building a house would take advantage of that and do that. But what we do need to provide is under the stormwater regulations, because we're over the acre, we have to provide a detailed soil erosion and sediment control plan.
Exactly.
Which we will do for each house, and that'll basically, have all the provisions for how to construct in there, showing the grades and unfortunately we don't have specific houses here yet, so we can show that in general concept. But when somebody comes along with a house plan, we would need to develop a detailed grading plan for each of these houses.
Hey, Barry, can I?
And as far as, just to mention I'm sorry if I interrupt somebody, but just to mention.
That's me speaking up. I have a question on Lot 2. The layout of the septic and the proposed septic and the reserve septic seem backwards. You have the reserve septic is the one that's closest to the house, and the proposed septic is the one furthest from the house.
Yeah, we may have just done that because of the house location. We thought it was downhill more, where the reserve may require a pump. But that really gets down to what exact house they build there, whether we can get gravity to the initial system. But they can be switched during construction. The health department recognizes both of them as suitable areas. We just label one and one the other.
I just wanted some clarification on that.
Yeah, I mean, if the planning board feels more comfortable flipping it, we can change flip the labeling of them. That's really not an issue. And I think what we had, when we had the health department out and we designed that, we had the house at a lower elevation, closer to the stream, and then with mapping out all this, finally getting the wetlands flagged and mapping that out, and we pushed the house back uphill some. So
Yeah,
you may-
that's what almost it would appear like, it would look like, because the way that you have, but just didn't change the septic to match that.
Right.
Aaron? I have a comment. Can you hear me?
You
Barely.
sound a little bit like you're in a underwater, but we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I had the mic covered, sorry. I guess two comments. One is that when this is eventually, if it's approved, I'd like to see the prohibition on tree removal for the Indiana bat, which is that October 1st through March 31st, to be noted on the map itself.
Okay.
That's one thing. And it's at some point, I mean, this is steep. I calculated it, and I'm not an engineer, but I calculated both houses as being at 20%. We don't have any prohibition or any suggestions in the code as to over this amount, you have to do this, or under
You
this
can't
amount.
build, yes, you can't build over 25.
Okay, well, this is not 25.
Right.
But
We
calculated
highly
as 20.
discourage 15 and above.
So
So this is
whatever
a highly
clearing is
discouraged,
gonna-
not a prohibited.
Okay, so whatever clearing is going to have to be done, it's steep. It's not 25, but yeah, that was it. It was the notation on the map, and the map should also have, if it doesn't, no, it doesn't have it. Should also have the note that the 100-foot stream setback, the occupants are prohibited from any further clearing within that 100-foot stream setback. So that's a prohibition by the town code, I believe. The other one for the wetlands is suggested, so I'd like to see two other notes. One is prohibition for 100 feet, and the other one, it's strongly suggested nothing to be happening within 200 feet. Of the
Yeah, I
wetland.
agree. This is a pretty, as I'm repeating myself, but a pretty tortured,
Yeah.
putting a square peg in a round hole kind of subdivision. So there's going to have to be a lot of, not only on the plat, in the decision on the plat, and also in deed covenants, which we're able to do by subdivision design. So you're right, Rick, that between, I always like to think of it the opposite way, between April 1st and October 1st, there's no trees to be removed. So
You're right.
for me, that's not the
Yeah.
way the DEC ever phrases it, but it is easier to realize these are sort of your good buildable time,
Yeah.
which is April through October, and you cannot touch a tree during that. On some more mundane things, we need a road maintenance, shared driveway, right-of-way agreement. Since we have all of the above with our new road with pull-offs. And anybody else have any? Oh, also Heather / Barry / Medenbach and Eggers. I don't know, Mike, if you can pull up, if you look at the application on Google Drive, there's a colorful, it's called Burn Mapper, and that's from the DEC mapper. And maybe you could pop that one up. If we
Okay,
could-
I'm gonna just take a minute to switch
Yep.
screens, but so if you have something else you need to do in the meantime, go ahead and I'll get it up.
Yes, in the meantime, hey, Brianna, I managed to, I don't know what I did with the easy to get to EAF part 2. Could you easily, I have it somewhere here, but it's gonna take me too long to pull everything up. Could you resend that to me? If anybody, we also need Barry / Heather. Did you get DOH permitting, or can you submit a letter for well and septic? Because we don't have that in. We need
Yeah,
that
we
forward.
We don't actually have the permits yet, but they will be coming.
So we're gonna,
They inspected the site, they approved the test holes, approved the sites, they just haven't approved our map yet.
okay. So obviously that's gonna be needed in the process. So this beautiful attempt at whateverness from me, you can see the red box up sort of at 12 o'clock. That just marks the site, and you can somewhat see the site. So the squiggly red line with the arrow, these are core forest lands from the mapper. So if we could put that onto the map also. This map has got so many overlayers on it, you can barely see what's going on. But just to show that this also still has, this has core forest land on it, which also makes it a bit of a tortured subdivision. But if that could be added to the final.
I'm sorry, Mara, what is this? You're talking about the hashed lines.
The DEC's environmental mapper.
Yeah. What is turned on? What's the label of it?
The label that I have on, that's a very good question. Hold on. I believe it is the forest layer that they have. No, the red squiggle and the arrow is me. That's not turned on, obviously. But I have turned on the wetlands, which you already have delineated. Wetlands, stream, and the one that was added was forest.
Okay,
So that's,
and
red squiggle and arrow are on there.
pardon, Patrick?
The red squiggle and the arrow are on that map. I can see those.
Exactly, but that's Marin put the red squiggle on. That's not done by DEC.
Ah, okay.
So just adding in the back part there that has core DEC forest lands. So it's basically the line, the hatching that is there that goes from north to south, so to speak. That shows core forest lands, and that could be the edge perimeter of that could be delineated, because you see when you get to the back lot, between wetlands / forest lands, you've got a little tiny bit of area that you're able to, best cases, develop.
Maren,
Anything else from the rest of the board?
No,
is the orange lines, it's property borders?
Yes, the orange lines, the property borders.
Because I got confused with your rectangle and it was unclear. Okay.
Yeah, the orange lines are the property borders.
Okay.
All right, Mike, you should probably go back to the key. Thank you for being.
So you want to go back to the map?
Yeah, just go back to the regular map. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I think we're probably ready, if there are no more comments, to type this for seeker. And I would type this as an unlisted, uncoordinated. Oh, and I hear crickets. Do I have a
We need
second?
a
on
motion
that?
for that.
This is, do I have exactly what I'm saying? I'm hear crickets. Do I have a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Second.
It's a roll call vote.
I hear
Chair
baby.
Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
and Ms. Maloney.
All right, then we will go through now the environmental assessment form, part 2. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? I'd say no or small impact. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of land?
Yes.
Small impact. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No, or
No,
small impact. Will the proposed action have an impact on environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a CEA? It's not a critical environmental area. That's a no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in traffic? No. Will it cause an increased use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation, renewable energy opportunities? Small impact. Will it impact existing public-private water supplies? Small. Public or private wastewater treatment utilities? I would say small. Disagree if you would like. Will it impact the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? I would say no to small, or the woods there. Will it result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? You know, I struggle with that one. Is it a small impact or a moderate impact? What does the rest of the board think?
Moderate.
I think as long as the setbacks are incorporated into the plan, that it would be a small impact.
I agree
Anybody
with
else?
Patrick.
I'm thinking moderate, and the mitigation is going to be observance of the setbacks.
So I'd say we could lean on small so we don't have to
oh, yeah.
do an EIS, but it will have to be heavily deeded, platted, and conditioned. Because,
Maren, you can say, if you can mitigate it, you're not gonna have an EIS. It can
Okay.
be moderate, and you can then in your part 3 say, here's what we're gonna require.
okay, that's what we'll do. We're gonna say moderate and say that the mitigation that Rick spoke of needs to be implemented. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? We do have some, but it's, once again, can be mitigated.
Well, I think, if I may, I would put moderate. I mean, the applicant mentioned that it's close to, if not a little bit more than an acre disturbance, and they're going to do a
Speedies.
speedy. So I think it's moderate, and the mitigation is what's the results of the speedies?
Okay, I agree. Yep, I agree. Will it create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? I would say small. It's not a. So it's a little hard to do this all on Zoom, etc. So Mary Lou, I'm gonna push to you that in the part 3, I will spell out that they need to do the proper mitigations for 9 and 10. And if these proper mitigations are done, then we could have a negative deck. Or do I just stop the whole thing right now and I have to write this all up and show everybody and we extend the public hearing? That's for you, Mary Lou.
Sorry, I'm just chatting away
Your
without
microphone.
unmuting. You can say what the mitigations are going to be for part 3. Say 9 and 10 can be mitigated by these permit following the setbacks. And also, do you want to put the thing here about the Indiana bats?
Yes. But do I do this right now or am I able to, hold on, bat and setback. I guess my question is, do we sit here and wait for me to do that at this juncture and write it out? Or are we able to say a negative deck pending the
Updates.
chair saying this?
No, you have to put it in order to, but you verbally said what's going to go into it.
Okay, so that is.
So
That's
that's
what I'm
fine.
saying, exactly. Verbally saying that stands before the law.
Right, and then you'll put it in and
Okay.
sign it. If it's approved in that manner by the board.
So board, within the short EAS Part 3, I am going to state that in reference to Part 9, where we saw a moderate impact, and Part 10, where we saw a moderate impact also, that contingent upon a properly filed speedies permit and
No, don't say contingent upon, say
Okay.
they will need to.
they will need to. They will
You
need
can't have a contingent
Okay,
environmental determination.
all right.
So in part 3, you say that it will be mitigated by,
It will be mitigated by the speedies permit. It will be mitigated by the setbacks, and it will be mitigated by plat and deed restrictions and the conditions of the approval to protect the wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, flora, and fauna. And further, by
Limiting.
no tree disturbance, not land disturbance, no tree disturbance during the nesting period of, I cannot remember, it's the Indiana bat in this case. It is not
Indiana
our-
bat.
Indiana bat.
Exactly. We have another bat also that has problems.
I think, is this the habitat one where they mentioned both bats?
No, it's the next
Yeah.
one. It's the
Okay,
next one. They have both. Yeah. It's not this one. So I would, in that case, say, based on the information analysis above, it will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts as long as the mitigations are put in place. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Second.
We need a roll call.
Chair Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
and Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
All right, with that having been done, we can now open up the public hearing for the Olga Byrne subdivision. And usually we keep this to 7 minutes. I should keep it to like 4 seconds since we're going to be here till 4 o'clock in the morning. But anybody that needs to speak has 7 minutes to speak. And I always put forward anything that needs to be said. Please be civil, and you're speaking to the board and filling us in with any information that you might have that we do not have. So is there anybody in the public that would like to speak about this application?
Lauren, I think the easiest way, if anybody wants to speak, if they can use the raise hand option rather than me opening each person's mic and asking them. If they're on camera, they just have to click in the 3 dots and there's an option there. I think that's where it is.
Everything wrong.
Can I stop share for the moment
If
while we
you-
do this? It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
If you click participants, that also opens.
Oh, yeah,
up.
if you click participants, yes. And if you're on a phone, if you hit *9, that is the raise your hand. And *6 is to unmute yourself. So I just don't know if there's, I know David Gray I see is on, and I know he was a bounding owner.
Right.
Mr. Gray, I'll unmute you. Do you wish to speak?
I was just concerned with the wetlands. That's why I'm here. Obviously, the size of the property, everything involved with that's not a problem. I'm also a member of the fire department, and everything there checks out perfectly. My concern was where the new driveway will be, since the current one's going to be abandoned, because I know when we've had our 100-year storms, we've actually had water coming out of the pipe next to my parents' driveway next to us, flooding out the road. And I was concerned if we alter that stream in any way, putting a new driveway in, that it could cause some severe flooding. So that's all I was kind of looking to see what happened there.
Thank you. As the driveway is going to be, it should be pretty much using the existing driveway and extending it. So at least a core closer to the wetlands area. Board, we should have another look at that and see, but it's pretty much maintaining it the same. Anybody else?
I just wanted to add that we're not actually abandoning the existing driveway. We'll be using the existing driveway. It's just the adjacent owner will no longer be using that driveway. They will be building an additional
They
driveway.
will create another driveway for themselves, right?
So Maren, can I make another comment?
Why don't we wait and let the public?
Okay, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, Maren, I don't see anybody raising a hand, so, Brianna or Maren, do you recognize anybody that's on the call? Most of the names I think are for upcoming applications.
Exactly. So depending what the board would think, do you think that we should, because we have a lot of information still to get, that we could keep the public hearing open at least for written comments, since this is pretty awkward right now? Maybe somebody is not able to unmute, we're not exactly in fantastic situation doing this way. Keep the public hearing open at least till the next meeting.
I'll
for
make a
written
motion.
comment.
I'll
Okay,
make a motion to keep it open.
okay. Any seconds?
Second the motion.
All right.
Can I just clarify, Maren, you had said
yes.
written comments.
Just
the
for
motion,
written comments.
But are you sure you don't want to just keep it open because they are going to have to redo that driveway?
Yeah, we might as well keep it open. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Let's just keep it open entirely. Pending.
Maren, could I?
Yes.
And I agree with that.
Hold on, buddy.
Well,
Let's get our motion and our vote before you comment.
I want to make the motion and clarify what I was moving.
Okay. All right.
Right, so I'll make a motion to keep the public hearing and the written comments open.
Both written and oral comments open exactly to the next meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. All in favor by a roll call vote because it's easier in this messy times.
Chair Lindstrom.
In favor.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams, unmute yourself.
Williams.
That was a wave, I think.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Zarowski.
Yes.
Mr. Kinsky.
Yes.
And Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So, yes, Rick, what else did you have to add?
So that was an interesting comment by Mr. Gray about with no disturbance, that one of those culverts was overflowing. How do we ensure that with the disturbances and the addition of the driveway, how do we ensure that it doesn't create even more of a problem in terms of runoff to the other properties across the road?
We could ask for a SWIP. When what you do is
I think that's,
You know what?
isn't that a town culvert
there's-
though?
There's a
Or a
lot of
county culvert?
wetlands, there's a lot of wetlands, there's a lot of, you
The
have a
culvert
stream.
on,
You got
on
some
the-
evidence of there being flooding across the way. It might be appropriate.
Yeah,
to
the
do that.
difficulty here is, especially if you look at the whole mapper, if you take a bigger view, as Mr. Gray said, the stream goes across and there's wetlands that go across the street and then it goes around behind them and that goes to a pond and bigger wetlands. So there's sort of an infrastructure that goes under the road and across and along that I don't have the expertise to know.
yeah,
I mean, this is-
Maren and Rick, if you look at the map, and actually Mr. Gray just put this in the chat, which I'll just read just so it's in the meeting notes, but he said the culvert that was flooding is a town culvert. So I think, like, I don't know if it's actually germane to this application. Like, I think the culvert he's talking about is the one that comes from, if you're looking at the map, the lands now are formerly Brian Gray, and then it comes under Sampsonville Road onto where lot 1 is. So
Not Queens Highway.
it's not a, sorry, it's not a, it's not a driveway culvert that he's talking about.
Yeah, can I just speak up on that
Yep.
too?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the storm he was talking about, what he referred to as the 100-year storm was probably really just a 50, but it was a significant event. And I doubt if any of the town culverts, could handle that flow. Town culverts are generally not sized for large 100-year storms. Either are driveways. Most driveways are designed for 25-year storm. So you do get sometimes big events where they overflow. The 100-year storms usually, when we're doing a major stream crossing, like if we did have to cross that stream on the property, we would size that for a 100-year storm, which would probably be much bigger than what the town already has. So I just want to point that out, that, flooding does occur when we get these extreme events, almost town-wide.
Well,
Maren,
the
was
other
this
thing is that
referred to the highway?
This was referred to highway, and on this one, we did not, we heard back from fire, DEC, we did not, and the ECC, we did not hear back from highway. But since we have more time, do I need to make a motion to re-refer to highway? And
No, but maybe.
Maren,
Yes,
Maren,
yes,
may I speak?
of course.
I look at the map. I look at the map as well, and I don't see that this development affect anything that is there. The driveway is existing, covered on the part of lot 1. So I don't know if this subdivision it has any influence on that cover.
I kind of agree. The culvert's already a town culvert on a, county or town road. So
Yeah,
there's
think-
nothing that this subdivision is going to do that's changing the existing structures that the town or the county has in place there.
Maren, Mr. Gray has raised his hand. Do you want me to open his mic and acknowledge him?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Gray.
Hi, I just wanted to clarify so you understood what I meant a little better by that. I wasn't specifically referring to the existing culvert as a problem. I was stating that during those big storms, it became a problem. And normally, if you put a driveway in through a wetland, you're obviously going to have to put in some type of culvert. And I didn't know, or don't really know, where their new proposed driveway is, because in the paper I received, it stated that the current one, which doesn't have a culvert, would be abandoned. So I assumed everywhere else south of that, going down towards 209, has that stream, because it crosses, the existing culvert crosses by my parents' driveway and then follows the property down towards Herbert Gray's lot. So if you abandon the current one, anywhere else it had to go would cross that stream, requiring a culvert. And if the town one, which is normally bigger than most, residential ones, had a problem, what would happen if we had to put a new one in? If that makes sense.
Thank you. Mike, thanks for doing that. If you can see this, you're really using the exact same entrance that is there. Where the difference will be is in a new driveway being cut for the Carols. So all the infrastructure that is there, you're completely right that if they had made driveways, which is what, this is why this is such a difficult application, is because they're doing a shared driveway in back, because you can't go over all the wetlands. So the entrance that is currently there, if you drive along Queens Highway, will stay the same entrance. What will be different is the Carols will make themselves a new driveway. And I guess the only other influence that would be had is to be very careful of the land disturbance when construction, and that is to be covered by Medenbach and Eggers, because during construction and by just putting some degree of impervious surfaces and some degree of grading on the steep slopes, that could cause, it's inevitably going to cause more water to run off. The idea by tying having a SWIP is that you're supposed to guarantee that you won't have any more. This probably doesn't hit the hurdle rate that we would need all of that. I don't know if the rest of the board has another opinion, but I
Well,
think there's a,
I think that's what I was trying to get at, that the new right of way, which I assume will be 50 feet wide and will be cleared, the new driveway, the proposed two houses and the septic, and I don't have the answer, but will the combination of those, of the clearing, which can be solved by, board and batten during the construction, but after it's all built, will it change the flow of the water so that the
Right.
amount of water going downhill into the wetlands and into the stream, you don't need a 50-year flood, you just need a flood.
regular rain, or whatever, yeah.
And
So,
I can't answer that. The only thing that would answer that would be a SWIP.
so my question here is.
And
do
Maren, if I
we-
may,
yeah.
if you remember the dog kennel project, which was only a single structure, we made them do a SWIP, and that was a hell of a lot flatter than this is. And we did that because it was infiltrating into ACOE wetlands.
Right.
I
So
think a SWIP is needed.
I'm sort of leaning the same way because of the slope and the fact that for all intents and purposes, the bulk of those two lots are wetlands.
Yeah.
So I would say we can add that on to the to-do list.
Well, kind of just, I guess I have a question about that. Like what we're approving here is just lot lines. And a SWIP, my
No,
understanding
it's not
is,
what we're just approving is just lot lines. Sam, we're
Well,
approving
then-
everything that has to do with subdivision design. Everything in 125 dash everything.
so it's the new driveway. I mean, like
It
what
is.
they're, I guess I'm just like, what would the SWIP be assessing, right? Like the grading and stuff for the houses.
So Rick,
is
I
an
mean,
unknown.
Sam, if you look at 125-20, an application for a subdivision,
Mhm.
the design standards and requirements set forth in this article shall be observed as minimums by the subdivider in the design of each subdivision within the town of Rochester. The planning board shall require more restrictive standards where necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and where circumstances unique to the property so dictate. The planning board shall review all, standards and regulations. Then I could go through every site requirement and every design requirement. So we're not doing lot lines. A lot line is a lot line. This is a subdivision, and it's all the land use.
Fair
So
enough.
if-
I
if you're on a
correct my,
slope, if you're on a slope and you take all the land off the slope and build a lot of houses, and all the topsoil and all the everything runs down and takes care of the wetland and flows across the road and goes to everybody else's house, we have done poor planning.
I guess I stand corrected on my language. I guess what I was getting at is we're already imposing additional restrictions, right? Like we're imposing 100-foot setback from the boundary of the ACOE wetlands. That's an additional thing that's related to this property. We already had them redesign the layout because of issues related to wetland. And the concern that came up in the public comment, it sounds to me, and I don't want to misstate what Mr. Gray was saying, but it sounds to me that he was just wanting to make sure that there wasn't going to be a new bridge or a new culvert across this named stream, because that had the potential of causing a problem in his view, which we agree with. And we've already taken steps to make sure that that's not happening. We're doing something totally different to avoid that potential problem. I know that a SWIP is a very, it seems disproportionate, I guess, to at least the concern brought up by Mr. Gray. If we feel this way separate from what came up in the comment, I think that's maybe a different question, but based on what.
I'll separate my comment. Mr. Gray made me think about the slope of this land and the way the water was flowing. And so I'll separate I don't know whether it's necessary to say that I'm separating my additional comment from Mr. Gray's. I'm questioning the addition of the right-of-way, the addition of a driveway. The fire department wants 2 additional clearings so they can turn their trucks around. This lot is filled with wetlands and it slopes down into the wetlands. So I don't know how much disturbance is necessary to create a problem. That's what the SWIP is for. It may be nothing, but I'm reminded by what we did with the dog project, I'll call it. And they had to do a SWIP and they had to put retention on this, that, or the other thing. So I think a SWIP is necessary.
My point about that, and when I said the thing about the lot lines, what I was responding to with your comment, Rick, was that was all having to do with runoff from the parking lot and the building with the Wayward project. And here, the SWIP would not include anything except the shared driveway.
Well, it would include runoff of the proposed houses. Can
I just interrupt just a second? We've already agreed to do the phase of SWIP. Well, no, you call it Speedies is the state pollution elimination,
right?
Which is it's the program. It's a statewide permit that exists, and we would be seeking coverage under it by filing a SWIP. SWIP is the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. We already agreed to do that because of the more than 1 acre disturbance, which means we're going to be doing detailed soil erosion, sediment control.
We're done.
We're done.
Okay.
Thank you, Barry. We're done.
Thanks, Barry.
You stopped them, Barry. Thank you. All right, guys. There's plenty of. This one is going to bed, and we're moving on to the next. H&M have plenty of work to do. All right, next is, because I will kill their last names, it's Jason and Jeffrey. It's Planning Board 2020-10, another subdivision. Gosh, aren't we lucky? And this is at 412 Whitfield Road. It's basically taking 20 acres and splitting them in half. In a stunningly wonderful development, this is relatively.
Maren, I'm sorry, what's the name of the application?
It is, I'm going to kill it. Forgive me. It is
Jeffrey Madalena
and Jason Gwenikow.
Got it. Thank you.
What is it?
So this is on Whitfield Road. And make sure you get the last, sorry, Mike,
which map am I looking for?
There is
SBG map.
1116. The last ones are 111820.
Okay. I've updated subdivision map dated. Yeah, 1116 posted on 1118.
There's 1118.
Probably it.
We had asked. We had asked for them to include topo, which they did, and we had asked for them. There's a little bit of habitat core forest lands in the back that are. It's pretty flat, and then it gets slopey way in back. They included I think the next one, this has got closer topo, but I think the next one, Mike, that's there, it turns the right way, if that matters to anybody.
The next one.
I have 2 in the G drive.
Okay, let me look again, sorry.
That's okay, that still works, it's going the way
it's sideways. And I'm not sure how to turn it the other way, but we'll figure it out.
The one above it is this turned one.
Which one is that?
Yeah, there's another one there that's turned for whatever it's worth.
The one up in the list.
Okay.
Hang on, Patrick. Let me get the list. You can give me a name. Give me a minute. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'll keep going along with everything else here. We have everything we asked for. Jason, I see you're on there. The only one thing that your surveyor forgot is to put the deed librarian page for all of the people that are all around you. So he has the names, So if you look at all the lots that are properties that are around you, it has the names of the people who own it, but not the library and page of the deed. That's important because if the people disappear, the deed stays. So that's how you find it at the county. He should be able to do that easily. That's not something that needs to be, that just for the final
just-
plan.
Before next month.
Doesn't he need the farm protection thing in a subdivision?
Not if he's not abutting a ag zone, and he's not abutting an ag zone. You mean the farm, you could have smelly things that,
Okay.
that are animals and stuff. Yes, you have to do that if you are in an ag zone or abutting an ag zone, and he's not, or they're not.
All righty, thank you for the clarification.
We will have to send this to the town of Marbletown because they basically abut the town of Marbletown. We do have, they gave us very refreshingly a full Department of Health well and septic approval. So we have the habitats shown, we have the topo shown as requested. We have all of the adjacent properties. At some point, they just need to have the deed and library on there.
Martin,
And
is it exempt from county? I'm not sure. If it's bordering Marbletown, it may need to go.
it will probably, I do not have memorized all the exemptions. It might have to go to, I put that down the question mark. It might have to go to Ulster County Planning Board also because it borders
I'll try to look it up for you right now.
Marbletown. That's one I do not ever have remembered. We'll send it to our ECC, and we're also going to send it to the our Historic Protection Commission because the house that they, I guess, were living in that are now selling was and is a on our historic home list. So not the new proposed house, but the existing. So I think this one is pretty well set, that we could make a motion to set it for a public hearing. Unless anybody else has any questions, comments?
Maren, it's subdivisions that are fewer than 5 lots and no access roads or structures in the 100-year floodplain do not need
Not need
be
to, so they have,
referred.
okay, perfect. So we will just send it to Town Highway, our environmental and historic commissions. And I don't know if anybody has any opinion. I don't think it really needs to go to fire. We don't have a shared driveway or long driveway. You just have a regular driveway access. We would not typically send that to the fire department unless anybody thinks differently. So could I get any comments? No comments? Going once, going twice?
I think it's good.
All right. So could I get a motion to set this for a public hearing?
I'll make the motion to set it for a public hearing.
All in favor via roll call, Brianna?
Chair Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Zarowski,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
and Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
All right. So Jason, I guess you're representing, you are set for your public hearing. You have one more detail, either for next meeting or for the final plat that would be submitted, and you can go have dinner. And we'll
Great.
move
Thank
on
you
to
so
the
much,
next.
everyone.
All right, thank you. Next is Planning Board 2020-09. Hey, guess what? It's a subdivision. Wow. This is for Craig and Allison Williams, the owners and applicants who came before us before. This is the 2-lot subdivision at 533 Old Kings Highway. And they have an existing house on the property. We're sort of caught in one of those infinite loops in programming because they need to get an area variance and a use variance to be able to continue with the subdivision. So our approval is contingent upon those, is et cetera. So Mike, I guess let's pause for 2 seconds and maybe we could pull up the,
Yep. I'm
Working
trying
on
to
it.
figure out which map it is.
it
Sorry.
is,
I brought up parcel viewer by mistake, so that's not it, obviously.
Can I ask a question, which is maybe a Mary Lou question on this one?
yes.
And this is probably not correct because it seems improbable, but if the garage that they're building were not classified as an accessory because it like had a house on top, right? Like if you built a house
Yeah, then
that
they'd
was,
be okay.
can we request from the ZBA a determination of whether the garage is really a secondary structure or if it could be a primary structure? Because it's like if you built a house on top of a garage and you never built another building, that would be just a house on top of a garage,
Right,
right?
but they're not. And we've discussed that with them actually.
Okay.
Or I shouldn't say that. I've discussed with their engineer.
And we can
It
definitely,
is-
we can
Ah,
speak to
there she
that.
is.
So the whole thing, Sam, is once again, it's what Mike always says, it goes back to the determination of the code enforcement officer.
Right.
So he looked at it and he determined that this is an accessory structure. So if he looked at it and said, no, this is a garage with a house on top, then we wouldn't be discussing it. You
Right,
just
and
need-
Nadine can address that some. She and I talked about
Okay.
it. And
Right.
there's no house, there's no apartment. It's strictly a garage, but would you like
So
Nadine to?
Mike, at the bottom, it's
Yep,
2020-014 Craig Williams plot 111.
It's number 11 in the list. Going
Okay.
down.
I got it. I sent him the information.
Okay.
I got it.
Before you look at it, do you want Nadine to discuss that whole garage issue that Sam just brought up?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. And thanks, Sam, because, we're kind of on the same page that right now, as the property would stand, there is a structure on it that does not meet the definition of a primary use for this lot right now. There are several things that do meet primary uses, and obviously one of them is a single family residence. So what we're requesting on behalf of the applicant is that as the planning board moves forward with the review, to continue the review, that it is a consideration that either the site obtains a use variance because the structure is not a primary use, or the applicant obtain a certificate of occupancy for a primary use. So whether they decide to reevaluate this structure and create a primary use out of this structure, or to build another structure that would meet that definition, that will have to be worked out. But we would ask that the planning board consider that if there is a primary use structure on this property, it will not require a use variance. So in the deliberation and hopefully for the final conditions prior to actually signing off on the subdivision map, that this property obtain either the use variance or a C of O for the primary use structure. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we had a meeting to try to come to a way to expedite this somewhat, Sam, and the idea is it's like a springing subdivision approval that if you build a primary structure, primary occupancy structure, however it may be, it's sort of automatically, and you get a certificate of occupancy because somebody can move into it, it's safe and approved, then it automatically past the subdivision is granted upon that, or you get a use variance. So one or the other happens, and it would flow through. Both of them would have to have the area variance though, for the driveway. So the area variance with both of those options is like use variance plus area variance, or certificate of occupancy plus area variance. And either one of those combos, you get your subdivision.
Right.
That makes sense to everybody?
Yep.
So
We have, oh, go ahead.
So at the last meeting, we kind of talked about the plan a little bit. The building came up. So the plans were revised to show, the survey shows the actual location of the building foundation, because that was in at the time, along with any other existing utilities there as far as the septic, the electric box, the well, and then the proposed footprint location for the proposed house and garage. So that's been added to the plan.
So that was one of our requests, if everybody, I'm sure everybody remembers, that, and then also that we needed to put the actual, the proposed, as Nadine just said. We also sent this out, they do have to various, since we did this as an unlisted but coordinated to see what everybody's comment would be, we've not heard anything from Ulster County Planning Board at this point. SHPO said they were okay with everything. There is a historic home within 500 feet, but there's no SHPO problem. So we will probably refer this to our Historic Preservation Committee just so they can have a look at it. I don't personally think it'll have much of an effect. It's
Maren, can I stop you for a moment? I don't believe it was sent to Ulster County Planning Board. It was not on our agenda in December.
It wasn't needed to send because it's not within.
Why did I see? Sorry, you're right, but I saw.
The
ZBA,
we have.
Look at it.
The ZBA may have to send it for the use variance, but the planning board doesn't need to send it.
Okay, so I'm just guys. I was just looking at the file, and we have the Ulster County Planning Board thing. Maybe it was misfiled and it was supposed to be ZBA. If you look at the whole file, that's why I said that. Mike, if you look at it, you see that it was sent, even if it didn't.
Maren, it was sent to them for comment, but not for a review. Right. So I sent the referral form just in case, because I never know what they're going to want from me. So I sent it with it, and they didn't have anything to say.
Any comment? Right. Perfect. SHPO had no problem. They already have a driveway permit. We have well and septic. And was that put on also? We had requested the existing and new on the plan?
Yes. Yep. So everything for the existing house is there. And then for the new lot, the well and the septic area is located on the survey that's up on the screen. And also in file is the health department.
Right. I saw that. So guys, we have all of the filings for health department.
Yeah.
I have a question, quick question.
Yep.
So foundation, is it for the garage they were planning to build on the plan?
It's already been started, the garage, correct?
I know, but the word foundation, this is for the garage?
Correct. That's the building permit that's held for that foundation there. Yes.
Hey, Mara, can I ask, can you confirm something for me? In my note taking here, I have, yeah. So what were the two conditions? It was.
The conditions were you get a use permit.
Use permit. Yeah,
and the area permit. So the area permit is because the driveway goes too close to the existing garage.
Yeah.
Variance, not permit, variance.
Sorry. Variance, correct. The use variance and the area variance. And then you get the subdivision, or you get the area variance plus a certificate of occupancy showing that you have a primary structure, and you get it automatically is a springing subdivision, so to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think, unless anybody else sees anything else, we could probably set this for public hearing on our side. In the Interim, we should send it. I don't know if we need a motion to, we've sent it to everybody else, to the fire department. Why do I remember? I have so many of these in my head. They already responded and they already put, and Nadine, you already put in the pull-offs, correct?
Correct.
Yep, I've got like 90 million subdivisions in my head. So we're good on fire, we're good on highway. The only thing would be just to send it, the ECC has it, and they could have some comment if they have any by the next meeting. It would be to send it to the Historic Protection Commission because of the Hasbrook House sort of across the street.
I'm sorry, what is the ECC?
The Town Environmental Conservation Commission. It's not a determining regulatory body. It's just for comment.
Okay.
The same with the HPC, would just be for comment also. They're not regulatory bodies.
And just on that note, we did add the boundary, the approximate boundary for that habitat core that you
Yeah,
asked for.
okay,
So that's on that
that's
also.
back. Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Nadine.
Mhm.
So I put a motion to set this for public hearing for the next meeting. Anybody have any?
Second.
All right. Roll call it, Brianna. Brianna?
Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Sorofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
and Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
Cheers.
All right. So Nadine, I think you've done everything that we asked for. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I just, and I'm not sure if you're prepared to do this tonight or we're waiting till after the public hearing, but for part 2 of the short form seeker, did you want to do that tonight or?
No, you've got to do it beforehand because it's a subdivision, but I always do them right before we do the public hearing.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
That perhaps we do it because, are you guys on the zoning board meeting on Thursday, Nadine?
Yes.
So they need it before that.
And they need
They need it
seeker to be
before that.
done and you're.
Normally I do it right beforehand because that way I remember everything has been done, but because you need it for.
And look, I mean, it's a short form, so there's only 11 questions. It should go quick.
So thank you, Mary Lou, because they need it. That is, hold on, we got 90 million. All right, guys, we should not even have, I shouldn't even have to look at this anymore. So it's part 2, short form. Will the proposed actions create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No. Will it be a change of use or intensity of use of land? No or small. Will it impair the character or quality of the community? No or small. Is it in a CEA? No. Will it be an adverse change to traffic or mass transit? The day we have mass transit, I will be far from here. That is no or small. Will it cause an increased use of energy, fails to incorporate energy conservation opportunities? No. Will it impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No for utilities, no or small for private water supplies. Will it impair the character of important historic, archaeological, architectural, aesthetic resources? No or small. Adverse change in natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna. Thank goodness, no or small. Increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems. It is on flatlands, no. Hazard to environmental resources, human health, no or small. So based on the fact that it is all no or small, I would say that this, based on the information analysis above and our supporting documents provided, it will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, hence a negative declaration. Any comments from anybody else?
No,
I will make a motion for a negative deck.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Chair Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for pointing that out, Mary Lou and Nadine, since they're doing the side-by-side simulcast. Okay, you guys are free. Next is,
Thank you.
thanks Nadine.
All right, have a
Next
good
is
night. Night, Nadine.
20-05, which is site plan approval 140-29. A type B action. This is American Tower Corporation, who is the owner, Allison Hebel or Hebel. I don't know how I'm saying your name right, Allison.
Hebel.
Hebel?
Hebel.
Hebel, okay, thank you. On behalf of AT&T, doing business as Singular Wireless PCS, if everybody, I think, is finally merged enough that we can all get one name at one point. So this is a equipment upgrade for an existing tower that we have. It's the replacement of 6 antennas, 6 remote radio units. I wrote it down wrong because it was written 2 different ways in our stuff. And adding 3 more radio units, putting a surge protector in, and all the related flotsam and jetsam associated with it. Tower height is not changing, footprint is not changing, and this is pretty much regulated by people other than us, unless it is a big, unless you're putting it in and really changing stuff. So a type B action by code is a replacement, alteration, or modification of existing transmission equipment or of telecommunication structure of the co-location of transmission equipment on an existing wireless telecommunications facility, which constitutes an eligible facilities request as defined by the FCC. This is at 6140 Route 209. This is town owned off of the, what we call the sand mine solar farm in the back there. The only thing that I sort of found, Allison, was could we have a copy of the lease just to see that everybody, we have a release letter, but a copy of the lease to show that who owns what and to make sure that everybody doing it, since everything's been transferred so many times?
Yep.
Okay.
I can just understand it. Yep, absolutely.
And the other thing was the time frame for the work, out of morbid curiosity.
We're looking at about within the next 6 months. I don't have an exact date just yet. It basically comes down to once we get all the permitting and the leasing side wrapped up and complete, then we can get construction started shortly after that. So we're looking at roughly 6 months.
Okay, and it takes how long-ish to do?
3 weeks. Same thing, roughly about 3 weeks, you know, obviously depending on certain extenuating circumstances, but that's typically the time frame you're looking at.
Okay, and the other thing that we've requested before, which is a little bit Serbo-Croatian for me to ask for it, but it's a certification that the modifications and improvements, that the NIER or nearer levels are within the threshold levels adopted by the FCC. I guess that this is a statement that you're not going to zap everybody to death and they grow 3 arms, if I'm paraphrasing poorly.
So you're looking for an emissions report?
Exactly.
Yep, we can certainly get you an emissions report, not a problem.
Perfect. Anybody else have something? That's all that I could find. Zorian?
Yeah, I just take a curiosity. What does prevent the town from liability in case of accident during antenna replacement or maintenance? There is some kind of statement somewhere?
What exactly do you mean by protecting the town? I mean, our contractors all have their insurance forms, and I think I submitted those with the application. The town is listed as additionally insured on all of those forms.
Yeah, the town is insured on this, I believe, Zorian. We are, we're the landlord.
I see. Okay, so the town is carrying insurance for them. Okay.
We're named as an insured on their policy.
Okay.
Anything else of anybody else? That's a good question, Zorian. Thank you.
Okay, may I follow up on that?
Of course.
So if a town is insured in paying for the policy, right? Is the town paying for the policy?
No.
No,
No.
contractors are paying for the
That
policy,
one-
the town is insured on it.
Okay, so,
It's like having your kid on your car insurance. We're the kid on the car insurance.
okay. All right, I just want to make sure that negligence doesn't come to photos of town, essentially, what I'm trying to.
Lauren, can you let me speak as the landlord?
Of course you can. Can you
Okay.
can you up the rent while you're speaking?
They take very nice care of us every month. So Zorian, in our lease with first with Homeland Towers and now with American Towers, is they're required to carry an insurance policy of a certain amount of money for the structure and also for any work that's done on the structure. And what Mary Lou is saying is we're named as an additional insured. So if something were to happen and the town were named in a lawsuit, we're covered under their policy. So we don't carry our own policy, but we're named as an additional insured under their policy.
Okay, all right, thank you, understood. So, and if something happens, the insurance rate goes up, they paying for that.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's your bottom line. Yep.
we only get the good side. We get the monthly check they send us, which is a percentage of the rent that they charge the carriers to be on their tower. And we get a certain percentage of that each month. And we're very thankful because it saves our taxpayers dollars every month when we get that check.
In a
Sure,
rare
I
moment.
understood, perfect.
In a rare moment.
I just
Zoe,
want to educate myself. It's okay.
Right. In a rare moment, we have the upside. You know, usually we have all the downside. We actually have the upside only in this one. So besides a couple little pieces of information, I'd say that we could do a motion to set this as an unlisted, uncoordinated for seeker, which is what
Would
we've done.
second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Chair Lynch.
I never wanted that. You didn't do much to change it, did you?
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Both admit that I deserve more. Give me that.
Guys, who's right? Mr. Jones.
Yes. More than you.
Mr. Sarofsky.
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky.
Yes.
Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
And I believe because this is on 209, we need to refer it to the Ulster County Planning Board just for comment.
Yeah, no, Maren, I just looked it up. It is
Exempt?
required because it's within 500 feet of a state or county road.
So this is far enough back, we don't have to.
No, you do.
Yeah, that's what I said. We need to refer it. That's what I thought. So do I need a motion to refer it, Mary Lou?
Yes, you do.
I'm going to make a motion to refer it to the Ulster County Planning Board. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, roll call again. Due to Zoom.
Chair Lindstrom.
Yeah.
Mr.
You're not even crying
Williams.
because of her. Crying
Yes.
because
Mr. Jones.
you feel stupid.
Uh,
If you were stupid.
Mr.
Somebody's
Sarofsky,
talking and we can hear you.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
and Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So Allison, with those, excuse the lease and then the emissions, making sure we're not going to grow 10 eyes. We're set for motion for public hearing, and we're set for seeker for next meeting. Right?
Do we?
Yep.
Ready,
You
set,
need a second
go.
to the public.
Did I set the public hearing? That's what we need, the 5-minute break now.
You need to make the motion for the public hearing, I believe.
Exactly. That's why we're getting a 5-minute break, because I can't remember how many motions I've done right now. All right, motion to set a public hearing for next meeting. Give me a second.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Chair Lindstrom,
Yep.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, now, Allison, we are set and we will see you at the next meeting for public hearing. And just send the rest of that documentation to us. We should be good. All right, 5-minute break. So I don't forget everything that I'm supposed to send. So it is now 8:40. At 8:45, we're going to start again with Wilfred and David Neff. So we all get a little break. Everybody do push-ups, sit-ups, jump up and down, wake yourselves up.
Hi, getting a little nervous. How do you think we're doing there? There. Yeah.
All right, that's time. In the middle of that, Zoom served me the please update your Zoom. So I'm like, no.
I was gonna say, don't do it, Maren. It's a trick.
Exactly. I'm like, where is my meeting? All right, do we have everybody
Present.
back in black? All right, our next one is 2020-05 for Wilfred and David Neff. This is the 2-lot subdivision that has absolutely everything you possibly could have as a constraining factor on the land. We have some things that I saw right off that need to be added to the map. And we also, at the request of Rick, which was quite helpful, pulled the map that was done when they were going to do this, make this into a solar project, which ended up not happening because they would have needed variances for prime farmland. They're sitting on top of Pompey's Cave. And the project in some way, shape, or form was abandoned. So if you look at the site plan for that, it has a lot more detail that shows some factors such as there are wetlands that are sort of scattered within delineated that probably should be delineated, like proposed lot 2 has quite a bit of wetlands in it. If you look at the other, I don't know if we can switch back and forth, Mike. We need to show the 100-foot stream buffers. We need to show the floodplain.
Which one do you want to see, Maren?
Thanks, Mike. If you go in and you look at Rondout Solar.
Rondout Creek Civil Set?
Yeah. And obviously not the cover page.
This one?
Exactly. No. Yeah, that's it. But go up. We don't need the solar panels. That one's pretty good right there to show. If you enlarge it, you can see the wetlands have been delineated. So there are wetlands. The proposed lot 2 is pretty full of wetlands. We also have a floodplain up toward the Rondout Valley, or not Rondout Valley, the Rondout Creek / O&W Trail toward the back end of the plot. And you also have floodplain up in the front. So we need, and then if you look on this, they have, this looks like, I'm guessing, and I don't know crap here, 2-foot topo. It's very slopey all through the middle. So looking at this, we could use on the current application the floodplain, the wetlands, and the 100-foot stream buffer from both the cripple bush and also, I don't think we'll need it for the Rondout Creek, but so there's some map details that need to be added.
I think you mentioned it, but the topo also. So everything,
yeah,
the whole 9 yards. And I think we need to know, and I don't know, I can't see if it's on that map or not, the solar map, but so where's Pompey's Cave?
Pompey's Cave is down in, it probably should be delineated also. I don't know if it is on the solar one. It's down in front in various.
It is the creek.
It is the creek,
And
exactly.
it is the creek, if I recall, for most of the time that it's that it's going through this property, maybe even all of it, but I don't recall.
The
But we were there.
intermittent creek, Sam, the intermittent creek or the?
No, the cripple
The
bush.
cripple
the
bush.
cripple bush.
What the cave is that the
Under.
stream runs underground. It like
Exactly.
goes underground, and then when it gets really high, it comes above ground. So it like appears as a dry stream bed, but it's actually that the creek is in a cave.
It's a split level.
It's a split level creek, yeah. And I think it runs sort of like, at least from where the sort of polygon shaped road frontage is, like if you project that kind of perpendicularly back from Lucas, I think it's from at least about there, and then it goes beyond, you know, then it leaves the property, it goes under Lucas and continues on beyond.
Exactly. So if you drive through there, you don't see all of it. Some of it is out and some of it's right. It's a split level. So that,
Chair,
go ahead.
I don't know how to handle this one. I mean, it's quote unquote just a good old subdivision of 81 acres. But on the other hand, when you start looking at the wetlands, the creek, the caves, I mean, somebody had made a suggestion, I think it was Sam last time, to come up with a better way to subdivide it. I mean, whoever, if you subdivide it, whoever buys this thing has got an incredibly massive task of trying to sort out where they can put anything on this plot of land. So
I mean,
my
Just
immediate
a
reaction,
reminder.
my
I'm
immediate
sorry, go ahead,
reaction was, I don't want to see this subdivided.
The problem with this is a bequests in a will, which says this has to be subdivided in half going to each. It puts us in a kind of weird position, but this isn't the typical, we're subdividing this because we want to sell a lot. We're subdividing this because that is what the testator said to do.
Well, we're not bound by the testate. The planning board is not bound by what's in the testamentary papers, and or question mark. That's a legal question for you, Mary Lou. And the second point I would make, well, if that's the case, can we say fine, but you can't build on it?
Possibly, no, possibly. It does,
Because
you
of
know,
the
our
environmental
subdividing, it
impacts.
doesn't mean they're going to be able to build on it.
Because of the environmental impacts. And so I would even go a step further, that a full EIS needs to be made of this property before we even begin to consider fulfilling the requirements of the testamentary papers.
I mean, I guess I have a slightly different perspective in regards to the challenges. I mean, one is I feel very empathetic to this situation. Like, it just seems like it kind of stinks. And I see the primary challenges being the road access, like this came up last time, but that proposed lot 1, like all the road frontage is basically is the bridge. And then proposed lot 2, like that, I see that as a big challenge too, but.
Well, that, Sam, it
just kind of sucks.
It's just that's another challenge. That is a challenge that perhaps could be met by having, you see where there's an existing driveway, and they did slightly move a lot line to go along an existing farm road.
Yeah.
So you could say, all right, you know what? Do a shared driveway.
Right.
So that is more easily mitigatable.
Yeah.
The other side of it is, yes, you can divide this up to satisfy the deed, but you now have 2 40-acre they're unbuildable. I mean, they could be used as farming in the back, but bottom guy basically gets wetlands, and top guy, lot 1 gets prime farmland. Lot 2 gets a bunch of wetlands. You know, if they want to do that, you'd sort of feel like you'd think that they, you know, could the testament or the deed say, why don't you try to sell it all together and then you guys split up the money? But I'm not the estate lawyer. So.
Well, we can split it, then they can put it back together if that's what they decide to do.
But I think Rick is completely right. You could say we're splitting it, but especially lot 2 is quasi buildable lot. We could split it, but you have floodplain, you have setbacks from the creek, you have a archaeological site, the Pompey's Cave, and I can't even remember, I think it was across the road when we did this. I'm not sure it was on the land. I think there was a First Nations / Native American, I think it might not have been here, it might have been across the street, cemetery. So that has to get checked out, because I can't remember if it was on the property here or across the property. So,
Well,
I mean-
can I just bring up something? I think all these problems all these issues exist, whether this is subdivided or whether we leave it as one lot. Fulfilling the testamentary doesn't change the problems.
yes, that's right, but we're not supposed to create. So right now it's a bad lot, a big bad lot, but at least you could go in the farm road and farm on lot 1. Now we're going to create a lot 2 where you go in the road and you get wetlands you can't do anything with, and you get a lot of floodplain, and we're not supposed to create bad lots. So
True.
that's where we come in. We're creating a bad lot. That is the number one thing of subdivision at the top. You're not supposed to create a worse lot than what is existing. So that's not totally right, Patrick, that now how make this a good lot?
If I can interrupt here, I mean, there are existing accesses to both lots, which is part of why we designed this the way there was. So there would not have to be any additional development to continue the farm, the land as it has been over the years. And there's almost 41 acres. It takes a half an acre to put in a house, a well, and a septic. I think we could find a half an acre on either one of these lots that misses the constraints. I mean, there's 40 acres between the two of these. So I don't think we're creating unbuildable lots here if that's the hang up. And again, it is the estate. We have to divide it in half. So it seemed to us to make sense to divide it amongst the two existing right-of-ways that are already there. And using
when we do a subdivision, it isn't just like you can fit a house on it. It is also respecting all the plethora of things that we are supposed to reflect, even if nobody ends up building on it ever. And the right and also Heather, the right of way that you have. So that goes right back to that hasn't been resolved. The existing driveway and right of way is on someone else's property for the second, for lot 1.
Right, it is deeded though. I mean, it's a legit deeded right of way. It's an existing right of way on filed maps. It does exist.
So we need to get that. We asked for that the last time and we don't have it. So we need to have that as part of, I mean, there's a small step. We need to have that as part of the application.
I'll go back to my original comments. And again, I would want a legal opinion. Do we have to do anything as required by a will? Are we forced to do something on a piece of property that is better off left as a single parcel? And my answer to that unschooled lawyer or playing lawyer is no. We're not required to divide because the will says you have to divide. And the second thing is when we go through the seeker, and I'll be quite frank with you, we weren't crazy about even putting the solar on here. I'm gonna push when we do the short form, we do the seeker form, push that a full EIS be done. And between all of the flood zone, the caves, the wetlands, the prime farmlands, this is a lot made for farming. I mean, at the very least, it's 2 lots made for farming with a single house, and that's it.
Okay, so
on each lot.
if that's the case, they're not proposing building on the lot. I'm just getting the impression, and Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what you said, that they're going to continue to farm it, but as 2 separate lots. Is that correct? Or
They have
you know?
no intents on building it, but as part of the estate, they have to liquidate the estate. So I don't know what's gonna happen after it's sold. I have no control over that, but they're not planning on developing it. It's part of the estate. They have to divide it.
But I don't know. So I guess we could request also, because if you look at the surrogates court of the state of New York, Ulster County, David J. Neff is deceased. And I mean, we don't have anything that says that, it just says that David Neff doesn't own this anymore and is gone, that it says it has to be divided up, or could it be settled by selling it in its entirety and splitting the proceeds? Does it specifically say in the will or the estate, you must split this in half, or you just have to split up the estate? I mean, my mother dies and my sister and I could split up our estate in it's 50-50, but we could split it up in innumerable ways to get 50-50.
Yeah, we haven't seen the will, and I don't know if there's a court order that says they have to split it. That's a good point. We hear that, hey, they have to liquid. Now I'm hearing they're going to sell it. So maybe they do sell it as one lot and split the money. I don't know. I don't know who the estate attorney is, if you want me to talk to him or her.
I think I'd like to see that, to see if there's exactly to get some more data along.
Yeah, I'm outside of my realm.
Right.
Right. We're all
I'm not sure that we're at that point, right? Like I think we're all in agreement that there's a lot of challenges and potential pitfalls with this subdivision as currently proposed, but we can keep moving forward, right? Like we can say they need to be buildable lots. So we ask for all of the same stuff we ask for on the other subdivisions, right? Like, where's the proposed septic going to go? Where's the proposed well? Where's the proposed building site? What's the driveway access going to look like? Map all the wetlands. I mean, it's possible that, like what Heather was saying, that we can get to a point where it seems feasible. You know, right now, everything that we're coming up with hasn't been solved, but that doesn't mean it's unsolvable.
You're totally right, Sam. Maybe they should get a parenthesis though to see if there's another way to split up the estate. It's going to be
that certainly would make it easier for us. I mean,
right. It's going to be cheaper for them also.
But...
It's going to be cheaper for them also, instead of getting all the stuff we're about to ask for.
It's something that they may want to consider with their attorney.
They may want to, but we can kind of say, hey, if there's a way to do it, then we'd like that, and maybe you'd like that too. But if that's not what they want to do, or if the attorney or the court says nope, you know, we can keep going forward.
You're spot on. So that means we need the FD overlay. We need to show the wetlands. We need to show 100-foot stream buffers.
Right.
We need topo, because there's some part in the middle that's almost 30% slopes. We probably need a wetlands. We need a wetlands environmental study to see what exactly is going on here.
We need to see how the right-of-ways connect via driveways to potential building sites.
Exactly. The right-of-way we need, if that's a deeded, et cetera, that existing right-of-way, it's very hard to see if it even ends up on the land. It looks like it stays on the.
But like wherever, it needs to connect to a place where you could build a house.
Build a house.
Can I ask a question? This is Barry speaking up. Is there any reason why you can't create 2 agricultural lots here? You know, I mean, you're talking like people want to build and they're going to do construction out here, but it's my understanding there's really no construction proposed at all. They're not even looking for house sites to get approved. They just want to create 2 parcels of agricultural land.
It doesn't matter. Barry, you know this better than anybody. When we do this, we have to make the assumption that as you start chipping away and subdividing at things, this could be an outcome that a house or houses or many houses or whatever are put on it. So whether a person says, whether I say I want to have a yak farm on my land, or I want to have a tent, or I want to have a house, that's the assumption we need to go on. What people say is not what we have to rule on. And you know that better than anybody.
Right, and it's in AR3 zoning. It's not like it's in a zoning that only allows farming.
Exactly.
It's a residential zoning.
If this was A20, if that existed, then we wouldn't have the discussion. It would be stuck being agricultural. So it's a moot point. So I guess what we can do is two things. Get the next set of things we need that we have just delineated. I don't, one thing that, I mean, I don't know if I want to get our planning people involved. I don't really know. The first thing we should do is send it to SHPO maybe, see what they have to say, but I don't know who really does an analysis of archaeological elements.
Can we get a determination as to the legalistic background of splitting it up, the requirements too involved in this?
Yes, I think that's one of our requirements, to either have Mary Lou speak with their counsel and handle that out of our purview to see what is the methodology of splitting up the estate. Is it specifically stated that the land must be split 50-50?
So that's a request. Like, I don't think we can demand that they provide that, but that we would like to understand.
We'd like to understand exactly.
Because if it's totally voluntary versus, you know, legally mandated, that would certainly affect my disposition towards some of this stuff.
I agree. If it's legally mandated, then you have to work harder to try and put a square peg in a round hole. If it's we just have two pots of gold and we need to split them in half, that you approach it with a different mindset.
Something out there, Maren, and Barry is, I see Barry is on. I'll throw something out there, even though I just wound up saying, hey, look, this land is made for farming, and we've got to be real rigorous in what we allow to be built here. If you were to find out, Barry, that in my mind, if the owner agrees, yeah, well, let us subdivide it, and we'll write on the map and put in the deed that forever, evermore, this is going to be farmland. That makes it easy on everybody. I guess I'd be all right with that. But with
Well,
all
they're
the
basically
issues,
putting in, right, a conservation easement,
Well,
or that would state.
with all the issues on this piece of property, or they can build one house on each piece. But I still think there's problems with even getting access for one house, given the contours in the front here, as Sam mentioned. So, I mean, you can't tell anything from the map we're looking at in terms of the contours that we would put a house. So this land was made for farming or conservation easement. Or
Maren, could you please check your text messages? Because over Zoom, it's hard for someone to give some legal advice to the chairman. So they have to text it so that it stays confidential.
Mara, look at your
I
phone.
think, you know, just to speak, you know, is representing both me and Heather here on the applicant. I think we need to go back to the applicant's attorney and have them step forward and maybe even meet with the planning board, or, you know, contact Mary Lou and figure this out. You know, this is an attorney issue.
Yeah.
Is there a way you prefer it, that it be in a planning board setting or just a one-on-one with Mary Lou?
I think if it's all right with the board, the attorney could just speak with me directly to try and get an idea, and then I can speak with the chairman and we can see whether we would like that attorney to actually appear at a meeting.
Okay, sure. That'd be
perfect.
easy.
All right. I think we have a game plan there. Madam, of your chats privately, I have everybody else, but not you. All right. Thanks, guys. Next is, oh, it just gets easier. Not Susan Cusack. Planning Board 2020-07, a subdivision. This is the Veritas Villas subdivision, which is equally challenging, not equally challenging, but challenging structurally. I think this is a new specialization of Madbot Edgar's. Challenging lands. So if we go through the pack that everybody has, we did get a environmental study. It didn't do much in the way of defining the wetlands, but it did identify the that we have 2 endangered species.
Yeah, if I could speak up, the wetlands are down associated with the creek. So what we have here, if you look at the map, we're creating some 11 acres that we're going to put in a conservation area. And what that represents is from the top of the slope, there's quite a steep slope that runs down. And then there's a large area associated with the stream. There's actually two streams coming together there. But the Mbacas is really quite a big, lovely stream. And there's some wetlands associated with the stream corridor. They're way down on the bottom.
Martin, is this the correct map, the one from September?
No, you want to go forward? There's a much more robust 1126.
Got it. Hang on, sorry.
Yeah, I might want to point out too is that we took off a lot, so there's only 7 lots now. Your description was saying 8.
So which map am I looking at for Martin?
You are looking at, it says 2020 1126 E20095 Villa is full.
Got it. There it is.
Yep, that's it.
26 or 25?
25. That's it.
25.
I have it.
Okay, so if you look at this map, you can see the shaded area that's kind of like maybe a bluish green almost. That's basically 11 acres that we would put in protection, so there'd be no disturbance, no activity, nothing in there.
So a quick interruption, Barry. She's going to do that's going to be put into a conservation easement.
Yeah, well, yes, some kind of maybe not necessarily the state's conservation easement, but a restriction that no activity would ever take place there. We'll have to have the attorneys figure out how to create that type of restriction.
It's sort of a conservation easement, or it's a conservation easement that's held by a land trust, held by the town, or held by a homeowners association. So
right. I can't tell you the legal details of that. All I know is on other projects we have, the attorneys always want to do them differently. So I don't know how we're going to do that yet, but we'll have our attorney prepare that so that it'll guarantee to the town that nothing will ever happen in that area.
Who is your attorney, Barry?
It's
Bill Collier. Bill Collier.
Okay, Bill Collier, great, thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, that particular area contains the steep slope that runs down towards the stream floodplain. There's a little bit of a wetland there that's associated with the stream that we've had flagged out. We have not had the surveyors to put it on the map yet, but it's clearly all within that conservation area. And what we did is we just kept the areas for building up along the road frontage, which is predominantly cleared now. It's a bit of a hayfield for the 4 lots that you can see there are lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. Lots 5 and 6 are wooded. They run up the hillside a bit, but we've had the health department out here. We've had test holes dug, and they're easily building sites for soil on all of the lots. We also had Jeff Fry out to look at where we want to put the driveways, and he had no problem with that. I believe he may have sent a note to the planning board to that. And this land is clearly not part of the villa there. And maybe Sue would want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, am I unmuted? Hi, I'm Sue, everyone. Hope I can see the board. Excuse me. First of all, I'm very impressed at how much you guys know and care about I'm just enlightened tonight listening to all of you. And I can't believe there's so much involved. I never knew this. But for myself, I'm just grateful that we're here in the community 38 years. When we bought the 108 acres, we committed to paying taxes on the 108 acres the entire time. And I have been for the past 38 years. My main mission, my husband and I, is running a treatment center, Villa Veritas. We serve a lot of the local nurses and doctors and the business people with drinking issues and problems in this pandemic. It's been horrendous. The mental health of the community has been bad. Good people have been just turning to alcohol. They don't have money to come in. We serve these people. I have 85 beds. I'm operating at 25%. In order for me, I'm 79 years old. My husband died 4 years ago. I love the work I do. I'm committed. I am recovered myself. I really need to sell off some of the acres here in order to subsidize my mission at the villa, so that we can continue to help the community, doctors, nurses, business owners that have really fallen into drinking and can't stop. So we do this, they come and stay a few weeks, and we restore families. You know, the work we do is really important, but I only need 70 acres. I don't need these other 30 acres that are across the road doing nothing. So however you can help me to sell them, to subsidize, I can help more people save their lives, I would be forever grateful. So that's why I'm here tonight. And I want to thank Barry for helping me. Anyone has questions? And I
Have
wish
you
you could-
ever thought of just, since right now we're having this moment of incredible popularity in our area, and I personally look at, okay, lot 5 and lot 6, the way you've designed them very nicely, Barry. The driveways curve up, you go up to a flat zone. It's nice forest land there, but I think those are quite, and if you go down, you see the details, those are quite conceivable. Lot 1 is just horrible. It's too slopey. Have you ever thought of just making it bigger lots that you charge more to really rich people who want to come and move up here? Like the previous applicant who sold their stone house that they redid for $1.5 million on 10 acres. I mean, if you go on Zillow and look at what's going on in our town right now, because of the constraints we have on some of this land, I think as you go up to lot 3 and lot 4, it gets much less constraint, and across the road, lot 6 and 7.
Maren, have you been out on the site? You know, so when you walk
Yes.
out there,
Yes.
you walk down into that grass area, you see there's quite a bit of room there for that lot 1.
There's room, but it is, I mean, Barry, if you look at this, we're talking 20. I mean, the one thing I do is, I don't even know what you call it, is when you look at the side view of how a topo goes, it is really, where that house on lot 1 is pushing a 25% grade. It's pushing that it's not allowed. Okay, it's over 15, it's not over 25, but it is not a tremendous building lot. And you put a house there. I know you're not on the super slopey, but it is incredibly sloping, hence why your driveway has to go the way it is. And right now, Ms. Cusack would like to raise some funds to continue with her project. And this is going to get incredibly expensive, putting in the conservation easement, doing definitively a speedy / SWIP, doing more and more to analyze how we can build on. I mean, my personal hangup is more lot 1, 2, 3. The other ones I think are fine. It starts to be a very expensive project doing this, and I
don't have the money to do it.
That's my point here. This is going to require a lot of expensive environmental analysis that you're already starting with. But, the rest of the board, please speak up here. I mean, I look, if you zoom back out, Mike, across the road, lot 5 and 6, I think we're golden. Lot 4, it's pretty flat. You're far away, pretty golden. It's when you do lot 1, 2, and 3 that it gets to be very difficult terrain for building.
Maren, they're really not. I mean, these are not that unusual slopes in this region to be building on.
It doesn't matter whether it's unusual or not unusual, and it doesn't matter to me whether we've done it before or not done it before. I'm going by exactly our code, and it is very, I know we can do something. We build skyscrapers. We build nuclear plants, but this is my opinion. And if anybody else on the board would like to pipe in here, I'm going to be quiet.
Well, I believe it meets all the criteria in your code.
If you go through lot 1 and 2 and a little bit lot 3, it doesn't really meet a lot of the design criteria in the code. So if I go through,
Aaron, can I say
once
something?
once you get deeper into the code, you do not meet a lot of the code.
So this isn't a slam dunk project. I mean, I'm sure it can be done somehow, but it's not a slam dunk project. I agree with about lot 1 and probably 2. But shifting the discussion just a little bit, what you've done so far, Barry, is great. You did a lot of what we asked for. I'm happy to see that we're getting this conservation area. But I do think it's now time to talk about some of this material is beyond our capability, the individuals on this board, in terms of, is it too sloped? Is it not too sloped? How much cutting are you going to have to do into the hillside to get a driveway in there that meets code? And so I think it needs to go to somebody, CPL, whatever they're called these days, to our consultant that analyzes this, analyzes it against our code, the slopes, the impact on the land, the whole 9 yards, rather than non-engineers, much less non-lawyers, sit here and say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, because it doesn't seem to meet code. So I like the project. I'd love to see the ones on the side of lot 1, 2, 3, and 4, make it into 2 lots, charge more for it, whatever, build bigger houses so there's less impact on the land. But I do think, I mean, in addition to your comments, Maren, I think it's time to give this over, as we have 1 or 2 other projects, to our engineering firm at this point.
Can I just say something? Ms. Cusack, if you're interested in just selling it, instead of spending all this money trying to have everybody else come in here and do all these surveys, why don't you just give it to real estate, let them sell it and let them deal with it, let them divide it, let them split it up, and then you can wash your hands of it and you continue with your project and you won't have to worry about it. Is that an option for you or not?
I thought I was doing it the right way this way. Barry, what about giving it to your wife to sell? What do you think?
Well, I think she looked at that, and I think the value is substantially more in buildable lots than a large tract of land. And, you know, if you want to see that financial analysis, we could have a realtor produce that. But
yeah, that's not giving yourself a headache. You know, it's just Miss Cusack. It's just a headache for you if you really just want to get rid of it. Just sell it. Just give it to the real estate. Let them sell it. Whoever buys it, let them develop it. Let them go through.
Would I have to go? My question is, if I want to do that, say if I turned it over to real estate, and I'm not objecting to the larger lots. I don't really care as long as I can just sell it. I don't need it, and whatever revenue will certainly help my project, you know, to go on, because we're really operating.
What you can do very easily is what you saw earlier is a natural. Well, you could do 2 things. You do a natural subdivision. So on the other side of the road, the lot 1, 2, 3, 4, that is now a separate piece of land, and you give that to a real estate person to sell, or you give it to somebody that wants to buy it, and then you just do separately developing yourself the ones on the lot 5 and 6. And
yeah, there's actually more land on the other side of the road, Maren.
Yeah, there's more land in the flood zone. All the messy land is way bigger, but that would be a natural subdivision.
No, as you go down Upper Cherrytown Road, if you look at the key map, you see there's
another lot there.
That's a frontage along.
Oh yeah, I know. Exactly. Those lots are bigger.
Right.
The lots are bigger, and she has remaining lands there. But lot 5 and lot 6, you could sell off individually, because those aren't really ecologically, environmentally, all of our constraints problematic. Do a natural subdivision and all this stuff that's got the flood plain and everything. I mean, I tried to do a conservation subdivision on my house, and the amount the assessor charges you to look at it is it's egregious. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I just want to sell the land, but I wanted to get, I thought, do I still have to go before the planning board, say to sell it, to go to real estate? Or don't I have to get approval then to sell it, or what?
All you'd have to get approval is if the stuff on the left near the Mabacas Creek, it would be called a natural subdivision, like those guys that came at the very beginning, you know? It takes 2 seconds and that's easy. We could.
So Barry, why don't we look at that and then get the real estate going on it so we can, because I don't have any more money to spend on all this.
No,
And
you
then-
got to keep it simple. Keep it simple, and then
Yeah, keep it
keep
simple.
it simple. So
Right.
Yeah, I think that's something for Mrs. Cusack to talk to Barry and a realtor about, and then they can decide, Mrs. Cusack can decide what she'd like to do. I don't think we,
We're not,
some
we're
good
not
ideas thrown out there, but that's hers to explore.
right,
Well, I'd
that's
say
all
what-
it was. I was just trying to give a
Exactly.
suggestion. That's all.
Which I think is a good suggestion. So I'd prefer, so she doesn't start running up cost, to just do a bit of a pause and let them think before we start saying we want escrow for environmental studies and all that stuff. Why don't we put a little pause on our requests here and let you guys think of some other options? And if the option is still this option, we can take it right back up again, but I don't want
Thank
you to
you.
start running up costs for no reason.
Barry, what do you think?
We need to talk outside the meeting.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, talk
Okay.
All right.
between
guys.
yourselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Night.
All right, and Terry Ringler is sleeping on us probably. This is 2020-07, Chad Burns, a minor subdivision. This is on Upper Cherrytown Road. R2 district. And he has taken every single one of those 2 acres to their max.
Hang on 1 second. I can go and plug the popcorn.
I know, really.
No, seriously.
That's so unfair.
Maren, I'm bringing up the one that says preliminary 1129.
Doo-doo-doo. On Chad Burns, there's only one. BURNS, not the one with a
I think I
Y.
got it. It is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the preliminary. Yeah.
I recognize Terry Ringler's drawings.
That's why I do them all the same style, so you know who I am.
Absolutely.
All right, Terry. So this is. I think I remember there's a existing road there, and I think it was Medenbach Eggers did a. They were I don't know. Pierre, you go with it. Lot 4. There's something already there, or was going to be there. Why don't I let you speak?
Well, they're vacant lots. The adjoining land is also owned by Mr. Burns. It's to the northeast. That has a road that has a 20-foot access that comes out to Upper Cherrytown Road.
Yep.
But this is all vacant land. Mr. Burns he's put in a driveway on the lot 4 already. He had intentions of putting a house there previously. He's now decided to subdivide and create 4 lots, each with ample road frontage and lot widths. And I believe he's already submitted a letter from an engineer saying that there's approved septic sites for each lot.
Yeah, there's a letter that they could support septic. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. He wants to keep the lot in the back for future use, but I believe that's in a different zoning district.
Yeah, the one in back is R5, but he's got it for sale right now.
Yeah, I think he does.
So I had one comment on this. Since he's got all this land, and one of our goals is not to have a gazillion, well, they're perfectly to code, curb cuts, and his flag lot right-of-way is pre-existing, non-conforming. But Mike, I had another picture that I drew on this exact same, and this is just throwing something out there again. Look at that. If conceivably, So the green mess in the bottom is making that a 50-foot right of way, which would make it compliant. Now, Terry, I'm not good at this. You're clearly better, but I tried to like calculate what the square footage is to make sure that that lot, the 2.29, if you expanded the 20-foot right of way another 25, 30 feet or something, you'd use up like 0.121 of an acre. So it wouldn't make it uncompliant. And then the red on the bottom, you do a shared driveway going into lot 1.
If Mike could move the map up a little bit higher, I could see the whole thing, but right now it's hidden.
Make it smaller. Yeah. So
that still doesn't help.
So anyway, the red bad line on the bottom is a driveway. The idea would be they'd come in on a shared driveway with this right of way that goes to the back. So you cut out that exit, you cut out one driveway. And then if you go up on the top, you share the driveway coming in and that curls around. And then you just have 1, 2, 3 curb cuts instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'd cut down on, which is one of the things we try to do in our subdivision, is not to have tons of disturbed land in front and tons of curb cuts. So lots 4 and 3 would share a driveway. Lot 1 would share a driveway with his back lot, and lot 2 would have its own driveway.
My only concern with that is the shared maintenance agreements and the process of trying to keep 2 landowners that will pay their equal share to maintaining a driveway. There's no need to do that in this instance. We have plenty of road frontage. We're going to create, in my opinion, a hardship that now 4 landowners are going to have to argue with each other of who's paying for what part of what driveway.
I mean, I agree. I see your point on, then my other like trial balloon was if he did a lot 3, 4, and then lot 2 and 1, he just did, it goes back to what we were saying with the previous applicant, that right now bigger lots you're getting more money for, and he does 3 lots instead of 4. It was just another, just throwing it out there. So lot 2 and lot 1 would just be one big, that's the blue square, and then he has the two other lots.
Now, I've spoke with Mr. I discussed this with Mr. Burns, and he would like to get 4 lots out of this subdivision. We meet all the requirements that is set forth in the zoning code. I did discuss with him about potentially providing additional road frontage for his lot in the back, but he does not want to give them a 50-foot wide strip. We will give him 50-foot worth of frontage, and we'll amend that so there is a 50-foot frontage, but there is no requirement for there to be a 50-foot strip to go to the back lot.
And out of curiosity, what's his thinking on that? Because you're right. All you need is 50-foot frontage, so you can do a funky triangle or a box in front.
Right. Well, our thought on that is that if Mr. Burns has a buyer for that tomorrow, by the time we complete the subdivision process, that'll be sold, and he doesn't have to give up any of his road frontage on the lots that he's proposing now. He's not required it's pre-existing. He's not required, other than bringing this application to the planning board, to make any modification to provide better access to that lot.
No, I totally agree. We're like trying to do like better subdivisions versus worse subdivisions. This is just throwing out some trial balloons to make it look better versus, and you know, there's always the attempt from you know where I'm coming from, Terry, from the planning board point of view. If someone was amenable to fix something that is a non-compliant pre-existing, since they own all the land and it wasn't a hardship for them, then that would be fantastic. If they say,
right. And I discussed that with Mr. Burns, and he's agreeable to giving them 50-foot worth of frontage, but we don't have to give it the full strip. We can come off of there. We can, you know, give them kind of a pie-shaped piece to make that 50-foot, which would then bring it into compliance. And he's agreeable to doing that. I have to say, from 30 years of being before planning boards, this is the first time I've ever been requested to do shared driveways. They have always been discouraged. This is the first time I'm actually ever hearing a board discuss doing shared driveways, just because of the legal ramifications. It is so hard to have people share those expenses. They just don't want to.
I agree. I'm throwing out trial balloons. Every day's a new day, Terry. In
Yeah,
30
yeah, no,
years,
but-
I gotta give you something to keep you interested,
Oh, I'm interested.
If it
Well-
wasn't, it was the same all the time. Anybody else have any comments?
I think we've done with all the other subdivisions. I think we've done it with all of them. Need to see the topo lines on the map, 20-foot topo lines. And then in the corner of lot 4 is that stream. You mentioned that in your narrative. It's,
Yeah, we
I
need
guess it's
to show the
Mombasa.
100-foot setback there.
I need to see the 100-foot setbacks. It'll only affect, I think, lot 4. And in the inset map, it looks like the Mombacus goes through the lot, not through the other lot. It goes through the lot in question. So the way you have it drawn, Terry, in the big diagram, the stream is off the property, but on the inset up in the corner of the map, it looks like it's cutting right through. I mean, it's a minor point, but it just seems like it wasn't drawn to the way it is. But I haven't walked the property, to be honest with you, but we do need to see the 100-foot buffer zone from the stream.
I would be happy to put that on for you.
All right, and can you confirm that is the stream on the property or is it just a little bit off of it?
It's as shown on the survey map. The other map is just a copy of the tax map
Okay,
put together by the county.
that's fine.
Reference that
Okay,
way.
okay. So we need that 100-footer thing and also the
And the
topos.
topo. Right.
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Dorian.
Okay, lot 1 and 3, 100-foot radius for wells. How do we know that across the street there is no septic field nearby?
I've done visual observations and there are no septics. Otherwise, we would show their locations on the map.
Right, but you still need to show it that nothing's there.
If there's nothing there, I can't show anything. Okay, so if there's nothing there, I can't show anything. I can put a note on the map for you saying that there's no septics within 100 feet of the wells.
Yeah.
But I can't show you what's not there.
And nothing there. You mean there is no residential property there, or just a field, or there is a property but there is no septic nearby?
There is none within 100 feet of the proposed wells.
Dorian, I think if you put a note on the, that would suffice. You put a note on the plat saying that there is no.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He can't really go.
Another question.
Because he can't really go and survey somebody else's property.
No, we can do a visual inspection to
Right.
see if there's a wellhead. And if there is a well, then we can take remote measurements to it or rough measurements to it. But there is nothing visible there. So there's nothing. All the other houses on the other side of the road are so far set back from the road. They're a couple hundred feet from the road. And there's
So
no visible signs of
Okay,
any
well,
wells.
just put a note. So it's
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
Then just put a
Okay.
note on it. Yeah.
We'll be happy to do that.
what about topographic lines as a site plan? So it's unclear where stormwater will go.
Rick just asked that to have him add the topo.
Right. So in the minor
Okay.
subdivision
And
process,
another question.
no, in the minor subdivision process, we don't normally put them on until the board requests it because it's not a requirement. So if you
Exactly.
would like them, we'll be happy to put them on there for you.
There we go. What
Okay.
else, Dorian?
And another question I have, lot 1 and 2, those septic fields, are they right next to each other? So what happens if accumulation, I don't know, is there any rules that the septic fields should be separated?
Okay, so in the first stage of this minor subdivision, we placed a monitor to show that there was room for them. In the interim, an engineer has gone out and chosen the actual septic sites. Okay, that was after our submittal to the planning board. So on the next submittal, we will actually locate the perk hole test and actually put where those septics will be more precisely on the map.
Okay, thank you. I'm just, looking information. Okay.
Anything else, guys? I think we could probably set this for a public hearing then. Anybody, any comments there? So I'll make a motion to set it for public hearing for the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Roll call. Brianna, wake up.
Chair Lindstrom,
Here.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yes.
Ms. Maloney.
Yes.
All right, Terry, so you remember, wrote down all the things that we need, and we'll update the plan, and we'll see you next month.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
I got fresh popcorn if anybody wants some.
Do you deliver?
Absolutely.
I'll take some.
I'll be right over.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. 2020-04. This is for a site plan approval. This is really a pre-app, guys, because they don't have anything that we're really gonna need on the on the site plan. This is not Walnut Brook. This is Open Space Institute Hudson Valley Seed. So they right at the corner of Airport Road that used to have a airport or landing field on it. Right now it has a conservation easement on it. They have 5 acres in the inside that they can basically are free to do certain uses, and the rest has to be kept in agricultural production. I'll let them show more. So it's really for them to present it. And then for the sake of timing for this one and the next application, I suggest that I get a letter to them or meet with them to go through all the things that need to be done. Because for both of these applications, I will read from our code. The planning board shall be under no obligation to schedule a public hearing or take any action with respect to a special use or site plan review permit application until formal application has been made on forms provided by the board and a detailed site plan providing the following has been submitted. The detailed site plan has A through W that it needs. So I'd say they present it, and then we do some offline meetings to go through all the elements that need to be presented. So with that big introduction, I will let you guys go.
Maren, can I jump in just really quick before they start?
Yes.
I just want to disclose that my wife Erin used to work for this company, and I don't feel there's any conflict, but I just want to be transparent about that.
Okay. Thanks, Sam.
Yep.
You didn't say it, we would be really suspicious now.
Do we have somebody from Hudson Valley Seed?
Yep. Hi there.
Hi.
My name's Doug Muller. I'm one of the owners of the Hudson Valley Seed Company.
Hi, Doug.
And Carrie Schapker is also here. She's helping on this project.
So do you want to explain to everybody a little about your vision and what you're doing?
And Doug, if there's something I can put up better than this picture, let me know.
Right.
Sure. So we started in 2008 based on our property here on Medicahons Road. So we've been growing since then. We grow seed crops. So we do agriculture production, and we also process seed crops and, you know, run a business basically of processing, cleaning, packaging seeds. We've grown steadily. This past year, we grew a lot. In a year and a half ago, we applied to the state for a CFA grant to help build the new headquarters. And we had this site in mind when we applied for that grant because it had come up for sale from the Open Space Institute. And we had conversations with them, and they felt like we were a good match for the site. So our goal is to build a new facility there to house our operation within the 5-acre development sort of envelope that they've established as part of the easement that they created. We didn't create the easement. They wanted to sell it with this easement. So that's what we are hoping to do. And I sent in a PDF just sort of kind of giving an overview, because before we go down this road too far, I wanted to be sure that you know, the general concept is amenable to the planning board before spending too much money, you know, on the actual site plan development and architectural plans and so forth.
Planning board members, I think it's a awesome use of the land. That's exactly what we want out of a agricultural conservation easement. Anybody else? Let's not get in the weeds too much here, because I can meet with these guys, with Mary Lou, and go through all of the minutia.
I think it's great. At some point, I'd just like to understand more about who created the easement, but you know, that's not necessarily germane to an approval or not. It's just, it certainly is interesting how you created this, or how somebody else created it, and how you're taking advantage of it. But I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I wish you the best of luck. I think it's great, and that land needs to be used, and it's a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
Dorian?
And I support it as well. And full disclosure, I'm buying seeds from them.
Full disclosure, soda and your tomato plants your tomato seedlings were awesome last year. I got so many tomatoes.
Oh, good.
So
excellent.
I think the next thing we should do is set up a meeting with me, perhaps Mary Lou, and I can walk you through the next steps. Does
that'd be great.
Sound good? All right.
Yeah.
So why don't you call, email, whatever, Brianna, and then we'll get together, and I'll try to streamline as much and make it as easy as possible, everything that you're
Lauren, just a friendly reminder, if you bring Mary Lou into that, the applicant's got to pay for her time.
That's right. So we'll do it without Mary Lou first, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm unfortunately free, and then if we need her farther in the process, we'll bring the expensive lawyers in, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Last but not least is Walnut Brook. It's Planning Board 2020-07. It is special use site plan approval and subdivision. This is the Maybrook property. So they are, as you have seen probably from the plans, proposing the conversion of the existing abandoned non-conforming seasonal residential community into single-family, two-family, and multi-family dwelling units. And they also have 2 new build. So their total is 17 dwelling units. Now, when I was going through this, I could sort of cut this short for this evening, because they forgot to put on the FD overlay. And our zoning code says that for areas that are in the flood district overlay, your maximum density is 1 dwelling per 2 acres. So I actually think I put a picture up, Mike, that shows that for everybody. If you do Walnut Brook and you see the really colorful one, the Maybrook mapper. So we really need another determination from Jerry as to what is the density that this is able to be used. So right now they're at 17. It's 15 acres, so that's already a little bit too much for the regular business zoning, which is 1 per acre. If he had a determination of however we interpret the flood district, that could take it down further. So this is sort of, it needs to go back a bit to square one. And also,
some of the dwellings are in the 100-foot buffer to the Millbrook, or it looks like they are.
and then one of the dwellings, if you go on the map, since you have it easier there, guys.
Number one.
Number one, it cannot be used. Number one is in the 100-foot. That's not even the flood zone issue. That's just the 100-foot setback from, so that's proposed to be used. Number one can't be used. Number two, I believe it's to be removed. So 2 and 1 would have to be removed. But all of which is moot to go through all the other stuff we usually do on parking and lighting and landscaping and et cetera, until we get a redetermination from Jerry as to how we do the density, given that I'm cuffing it. When you look at the picture, half of the property is in the flood zone.
Warren, which map should I be putting up?
The one that says Maybrook Mapper.
Okay.
And Walnut Brook side.
So if you look at that, you can see all to the light blue. It's a various layers from the DEC, but everything, so they go on top of each other, obviously, but all the way to the edge of the blue ocean part, that is all FEMA flood zone. So we need a reinterpretation as to what is the real density we can have here. We sort of just can't go forward until we redo that.
So we
Lauren,
need
I
them to
missed-
remap with that flood
Right, we need to remap with the flood
shown on there.
And then that remap of the flood shown on there has to go back to Jerry to see how we interpret density.
So Maren, the light blue is the FEMA flood zone?
Which goes back underneath these other layers also.
Okay, got it.
The other layers that you see there are various wetland, et cetera, layers. So
Okay.
the whole, from the very edge, if you go to the bottom, all the way up where you see light blue, that's all flood,
Okay.
FEMA flood.
Well, again, we need the topos on this, and then and this is probably a jury issue, but I know right in the front of the property, it was plain as sight. They were burying all sorts of debris back in summer sometime. So what did they bury? Because this is sitting on top of the aquifer protection zone, or it is the aquifer protection zone.
Right.
So what were they burying? Tree stumps, mechanical debris, boilers? What were they burying? So I don't know if that's Jerry's concern, our concern,
It's
the DEC concern.
It's probably all of our concerns once we, write yourself a big note once we get there. I think we have to get to the stage where we're gonna get there first, and we're not at that stage. Does that make sense? Since we need a redrawing and a redetermination. But that'll definitively be part of, you're also not supposed to touch, subdivision law says you cannot touch anything until you have approval. Same with site plan and special use, and they cut down trees and buried stuff and started doing land alterations, which you're not supposed to do. So we sort of said, let's freeze this, which is where we are right now. And now this came up when I was running through my usual, all right, floodplain or flood district check, aquifer check, farmlands check. So I think we just quote unquote punt on this for right now and see how it comes back. All right, kids?
Maren?
Good.
Maren?
Yes.
Just for your notes, so when next time if they present anything, put a square footage in the room, size of the
You know what, Zorian, we have so many things that will be needed. I don't know if this
Okay,
is the time to
okay.
even, yeah, you're right. Then we need square footage of the rooms. We need lighting fixtures. We need landscaping. The parking isn't how we like parking. I mean, there's a whole, but I think we first need to know what they can do before we start going down all those line items. But I agree with you. Just look at it and think of all those things that will come up afterward so we can bring it up in the next meeting. But thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys, let's see. What time is it?
It's
We
only
did
10
good.
o'clock. Come on. It's
That
early.
was pretty good for all that. 10 applications, 10 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Brilliant.
All right, guys, I make a motion.
I'll second.
Oh, one thing we did forget. I did say, I totally can't remember what I did at the beginning. Workshop meeting, we did vote not to have it, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
But
All right.
because I'm not gonna be here, I want to make sure. All right, motion to adjourn. A
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night,
Brianna?
everybody.
Roll call.
Thank you
Roll
very
call?
much.
No, no roll call.
No, we don't roll call that one.
Brianna, if you get me the dates for all the meetings for the year, I can advertise them all with one. If I put them all into Zoom together as one, then every one of them will have the same Zoom code rather than doing each one separately. So then we can advertise it once.
Yeah.
That
As
is so
long as Mary
depressing,
Lou
Mike.
says that's okay.
Mike is assuming we're gonna be Zooming the rest of our life.
I was gonna say, wow, that, yeah, I
Well-
think we'll have to just phrase that carefully.
Yes, because if we stop Zooming, then we'll have to re-advertise, obviously, but we can advertise them all at one time with the same Zoom access code. And then we'll do a notice for each meeting on the town website as a reminder, but we won't have to re-advertise each
Re-advertise.
meeting until you get to a public hearing, and then obviously you'll have to.
Okay.
But it'll save us a little money in advertising because we're way over budget on advertising this year. Through nobody's fault except the pandemic.
Can we charge applicants for advertising too?
Only if it's a public hearing.
I mean, they pay.
They
the
pay for their
hearing
public hearing
fees,
notices.
Yeah. For their notices.
But if it's a
Public
meeting
hearing.
without a public hearing, the town's paying for it.
Wait a minute, didn't you guys adjourn?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
we
Yeah,
did.
This
you
was
guys
just me
leave my
telling
cat,
Brianna
leave my poor
something.
cat's asleep.
Yeah, it was me
She's-
telling
she's
Brianna
asleep.
something. Everybody else can be adjourned.
Geez, the cat's smart.
Thank you, Brianna.
Everybody have good holidays.
Oh, yes, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy